The night is wide and quiet. The sky above stretches like a deep velvet river, where the stars rest like silver seeds scattered by unseen hands. A soft wind moves through the ancient land, carrying with it the scent of clay, of burning oils, and the distant hum of river water. This is Mesopotamia, the land between two rivers, the land where cities first rose from earth and stone, where temples reached upward like ladders of prayer. And in the hush of night, beneath the gaze of the moon, there walked the priestesses of Inanna. You may imagine her now, a figure dressed in flowing robes, light as drifting mist. Her steps are steady, yet soft. In her hands she holds a small lamp, its flame trembling like a tiny star, guiding her across the courtyard of the temple. Above, the moon glows full and patient, as if blessing her passage. The priestess moves slowly, not in haste, for time within sacred walls is not measured as time outside. Here, moments flow like water. Here, silence speaks louder than voices. And here, prayers rise not in sudden bursts, but in long, unbroken streams like incense drifting upward, curling toward the heavens. The temple of Inanna rests on a high terrace, a ziggurat reaching toward the stars. Each stone holds the memory of countless hands. Each stair holds the weight of countless feet, climbing with offerings of fruit, of milk, of music. The air is heavy with the fragrance of frankincense, cedar, and sweet resins. Inside, torches flicker, but their glow does not chase away the darkness fully. It leaves space for mystery. It leaves space for the presence of the goddess. For Inanna is the queen of heaven and earth. She is the morning star that greets the dawn. She is the evening star that watches the twilight. Her face is found in every flame, in every pool of water, in every heart that longs for love or trembles with desire. The priestess bows low. Her forehead brushes the cool stone. Her hands stretch out before her. The silence of the temple is broken only by her breath, slow and steady, rising and falling like the tide of the Tigris. Outside, the city sleeps. Houses of clay stand in stillness, their doorways closed, their fires dimmed. The animals lie silent in their pens, and only the sound of crickets marks the passage of time. But within the temple, time does not move in hours. It moves in songs. The priestess begins her chant. It is not hurried. It is not loud. It flows like a low river, deep and soothing, carrying words older than memory. Hail to Inanna, shining in the night sky. Hail to the Lady of the Moon, the Queen of Stars. Guide the hearts of kings and shepherds. Bless the wombs of women and the hands of workers. Bring peace to the city and strength to the land. Her voice is steady, shaped by years of devotion. Each syllable is like a bead of water, falling gently, forming a stream of prayer. And in the stillness, her song seems to echo not only in the temple walls, but in the very bones of the earth. The priestess rises to her feet. Her lamp flickers in her hand. She walks toward a great statue of Inanna, carved from precious stone, dressed in robes of gold, eyes inlaid with lapis lazuli. The statue glows in the dim light as though alive. In its gaze, the priestess feels the weight of eternity. She places fresh flowers at the feet of the goddess. Lotus, myrtle, and date palm, their scents mingling with incense smoke. She pours clear water into a bowl, so the goddess may see her reflection. She sets down bread and honey, offering simple yet filled with reverence. All the while, her voice does not cease. It is gentle, but it is ceaseless, like breath, like heartbeat, like the turning of the stars themselves. Far above, the moon shines brighter. It is said that Inanna herself is the morning and evening star, the radiant Venus. When the priestesses sing, they believe she listens, not as a distant figure, but as one who walks among them. The goddess is both far away and near, both eternal and present in the smallest flame. The priestess lifts her hands toward the sky, her fingers spread like branches of a tree reaching for light. Her eyes close, and in the silence, she feels the rhythm of her own heart. She feels the rhythm of the city, the people sleeping, dreaming, waiting for dawn, and she offers all of it to Inanna, the joys, the fears, the hopes, the sorrows. Outside, the night deepens. The stars seem to pulse gently, like eyes that blink slowly in the heavens. The river flows in the distance, carrying secrets to the sea. And within the temple, the chant becomes a lullaby, not only for the goddess, but for the world itself. You may picture yourself there, resting on a cool stone floor, hearing the soft voice of the priestess echo through the chamber, watching the slow dance of incense smoke as it curls into the air, feeling the calm weight of moonlight upon your shoulders. The sound does not demand your attention. It simply flows around you. It cradles you, as the river cradles its banks. As the night cradles the city, the priestess lowers her voice now. Her chant softens into a hum, a gentle vibration like the wings of distant bees. The flame of her lamp grows smaller, as though bowing in reverence, and the temple seems to breathe with her, walls expanding and contracting, like lungs filled with divine breath. She remembers the stories of Inanna, how the goddess descended into the underworld, shedding crown, necklace, and robe, until she stood bare before the queen of the dead, how she was struck down, how the world mourned, and how in time she rose again, a tale of death, of silence, of return. The priestess whispers it like a bedtime story, a reminder that even in the darkest night, dawn is waiting, patient and sure. The hours drift on. The stars slowly move across the sky. The lamps in the temple burn lower, one by one. The priestess remains steady as stone, soft as water, her song weaving night into dream. And as she sings, she becomes less herself and more a vessel. Her voice becomes the voice of generations. Her body becomes part of the temple itself. Her soul becomes one with the goddess she serves. It is not a loss of self, but a merging, like a drop of rain returning to the river, like a spark of fire returning to the flame. There is no fear here, only surrender, only peace. The night is nearly over now. A pale glow begins to rise on the horizon, brushing the edges of the sky with soft silver. The priestess completes her final chant, her words long and slow, like the closing notes of a harp. She bows once more to the statue. She places her lamp on the altar. Its flame shivers, then fades into smoke. The air is quiet, but it is not empty. It is full of presence, full of quiet blessing, full of unseen hands that cradle the world. She leaves the temple, stepping into the cool breath of dawn. The stars fade, the moon lowers, and the first birds stir in the silence. The city will soon awaken. The markets will open. Children will laugh. The river will sparkle in the sun. But the memory of the night remains, carried in the stillness of the priestess's steps, and carried now in the stillness of your own breath. So let your mind rest in that temple. Let the soft chant of the priestess move gently through your heart. Let the moonlight cover you like a blanket of silver. There is no hurry. There is no weight to carry now, only calm, only rest, and as the story closes, allow your spirit to drift, as if following the priestess out into the dawn. Each step quieter than the last, each breath softer, each thought lighter. Now the night has done its work. Now the stars return to their hiding place. Now you rest, as the world rests, in silence, in peace, in endless calm. The night deepens, yet a gentle glow remains. It is not from the stars, nor from the moon, but from a fire that does not fade, that does not rest, that does not allow the dark to claim the whole of the world. You drift now into the temples of flame, to Greece, where Hestia, the quiet goddess of hearth and home, watches over every fire that warms a family, and to Rome, where her flame is tended in solemn silence by maidens of the temple, the Vestal virgins. It is not the fire of war, nor the fire of destruction. It is a fire of life, of continuity, of harmony, a flame that binds city to city, soul to soul, age to age. Imagine the temple of Hestia. The air is cool, for it is night, but the circle of flame glows warmly at its center. The walls are simple, the floors plain, but the fire needs no ornament. It is light itself, pure and unwavering. It flickers, not as a storm or a wild blaze, but as a steady heart, beating in rhythm with the land. Here the priestesses walk softly. Their steps are hushed. Their robes fall in long folds brushing against stone. Their faces glow gold in the firelight, their eyes reflecting the dance of the flames. They do not speak loudly. Their voices are low, like whispers to the earth. Every gesture is deliberate, unhurried, as though even time itself bows to the presence of the sacred flame. The fire is eternal. If it fades, it must be rekindled only by pure means, sparked from the sun or drawn from lightning. For the flame is not just light, it is a symbol of the goddess herself. Hestia dwells in the center of every home, in every city, in every gathering place. She is the spirit of peace, the warmth of bread baking, the glow of shared meals, the stillness of safety. The priestesses know this. As they tend the flame, they tend the heart of the people. Their hands move carefully, adding wood with reverence, feeding the fire as though feeding a living being. Each spark, each ember is treated as a child of the divine. You may picture yourself sitting before that flame. Your body rests in the still air, your breath moving slowly in and out. The fire warms your skin. It glows against your eyelids even when closed. Its gentle crackle becomes a lullaby, a rhythm older than language. The sound is soft, yet endless, like a heartbeat that never ceases. The priestesses sing as they work. Their voices are calm, their songs simple. They call upon Hestia, thanking her for warmth, for protection, for the bonds of kinship. Their hymns are not filled with grand tales of battles or storms. They are quiet songs of gratitude, and in their quiet, they hold more strength than thunder. Far to the west, in Rome, another fire burns. It is the sacred hearth of Vesta, the Roman form of Hestia. Here too maidens keep eternal watch. The Vestal virgins, chosen in youth, serve for many years. They guard the flame with care, for the life of the city is said to rest in its light. The temple stands round, like the circle of the hearth itself. At its center, the fire glows steadily. The maidens tend it day and night, never allowing it to die. For as long as it burns, Rome endures. And so they move like shadows through the hours, feeding the fire, whispering prayers, their robes white as moonlight. These women live apart, dedicated wholly to the goddess. They are vessels of purity, guardians of a light that belongs to all. Their lives are quiet, marked not by the noise of crowds, but by the hush of sacred duty. Even the air in the temple seems softer, as though it bows before the fire. The city outside may roar with chariots and markets, with laughter and debate. But here, within these walls, there is only stillness, only the glow of flame, only the breath of prayer. The flame is more than warmth. It is a bridge between the living and the gods, between the present and the ancestors, between the many hearts of a city and the one spirit that unites them. Every flicker is a memory. Every spark is a blessing. Every rising curl of smoke is a prayer climbing upward, seeking the sky. The priestesses know this. When they gaze into the fire, they do not see mere light. They see harmony. They see the promise that life continues, that peace is possible, that unity can be found even in a world of storms. Let the flame enter your own mind now. Picture it resting in the center of your thoughts. Its glow steady, its warmth gentle. Not a blaze, but a calm ember, glowing softly, never fading. It burns through all distractions. It burns through worry. It does not consume, it only comforts. It is the eternal hearth within you, the place where your spirit feels safe, where all roads return. Your breath rises and falls with the rhythm of the fire. Slow, even, endless. The priestesses move again. They add wood. They brush the ashes aside with care. They bow in reverence, their heads lowered, their hands steady. And the fire continues as it always has, as it always will. Outside, the night sky deepens. The stars shine like sparks, scattered across the dark canopy. The moon glows above, a guardian watching the guardians, a silent sister to the flame below. The air is still, broken only by the soft crackle of firewood and the murmur of prayer. Time passes unnoticed. The flame does not rush. The priestesses do not hurry. All is steady, all is calm. In this circle of fire, there is no fear of darkness, no end to warmth, no loss of light. Even as centuries pass, as kingdoms rise and fall, as rivers change their course, the image of the eternal flame remains. A reminder that some things are meant to endure, that beneath all noise, there is always a center of stillness, that in every heart there can be a small, quiet fire that never fades. Now the night grows softer. The stars lean closer. The flame continues unbroken, glowing like a dream that will never be forgotten. You may let your thoughts drift into its warmth. Each worry dissolves in its glow. Each restless thought is soothed by its light. You are safe here, as those who once sat before the temple hearth were safe. You are warmed here, as countless generations were warmed. The flame belongs to all, and it belongs to you. The priestesses close their hymns with silence. The fire hums quietly, a voice all its own. No words are needed now. Only the glow. Only the peace. Only the endless breath of flame. Let us drift onward, carried by this light. Now rest, as the stars return to their still places. Now close your eyes as the eternal flame keeps watch. It will burn through the night, as it has always burned, as it will always burn. The night rests softly over Egypt. The stars shimmer above like jewels scattered across black silk. The river Nile flows quietly in the dark, its waters shining like liquid silver beneath the moon. A warm breeze drifts over its surface, carrying with it the fragrance of lotus blossoms. Somewhere, a gentle drumbeat sounds in the distance, like a slow heart, steady and calm. You are carried now along this sacred river. Its current is unhurried, its surface smooth. Palms lean toward the water, their fronds swaying as if whispering secrets to the night. Across the banks, temples rise, their stone columns tall and still, their walls painted with stories of gods and goddesses. And within these holy places walk the daughters of the Nile, the priestesses of Isis. They move with grace, as if time itself slows to match their steps. Their linen garments are light, flowing softly around their bodies, catching the faint glow of the moon. Their hair is adorned with lotus flowers and delicate beads, which shimmer with each movement. In their hands, they carry small jars of scented oils, baskets of flowers, and vessels of clear water drawn from the Nile. Their purpose is not loud or grand. It is gentle. It is healing. For they serve Isis, the great goddess of love, magic, and rebirth. Isis, who is mother and healer, queen and guide, the one who restores what is broken and brings life to what has been lost. The priestesses carry her spirit within them. Each step is a prayer, each breath a hymn, each gesture a blessing poured quietly into the night. You may picture yourself among them, walking in silence through the temple courtyard, feet bare against the cool stone. The air is thick with the fragrance of myrrh and blue lotus. Torches glow faintly along the walls, their flames small and steady, casting long shadows. In the center of the courtyard, a pool reflects the stars. The surface is so still, it seems like another sky has opened beneath the earth. The priestesses gather here. They kneel at the water's edge. Their hands dip gently into the pool, lifting droplets that glisten in the torchlight. They sprinkle the water over flowers, over altars, over their own brows, blessing all that surrounds them. The sound of the water is soft, like rainfall in the night, like the quiet breath of the earth itself. They begin to chant. Their voices are low and soothing, rising together like a slow tide. The words are ancient, yet their tone is simple, carrying the heart of devotion. Hail to Isis, Lady of 10,000 names, Mother of the river, Guardian of the throne, Healer of sorrow, Restorer of life. The sound fills the air without breaking the silence. It flows like a stream weaving into the night, carried upward to the stars, downward into the water, and inward into the soul. The story of Isis lingers in the air as they sing, the tale of how she searched for her beloved Osiris, whose body was scattered across the land, how she gathered each piece with patience and love, how she wept and with her tears watered the earth, how she used her magic, her song, her breath to bring him back to life, if only for a moment. From this union, Horus was born, the falcon child, the light of renewal. The priestesses remember this tale with each ritual. To heal the sick, they call upon her name. To comfort the grieving, they whisper her story. To bless the living, they carry her image, a throne upon her head, wings outstretched like a great mother bird. The temple grows hushed as the chant fades. A single priestess steps forward. She carries a small cup filled with wine, deep red as the evening sky. She pours it slowly upon the earth, a gift to the goddess. Another brings bread, still warm from the oven, its scent rich and comforting. These are set upon the altar with care, offerings of daily life transformed into sacred gifts. The air grows still again. Only the crackle of the torches remains, only the quiet rustle of linen robes. The flame light dances gently on the stone walls, revealing painted images of Isis with outstretched wings, sheltering the world beneath her. Every figure seems alive in the glow, as though the goddess herself watches through their painted eyes. You sit within this silence, the coolness of stone beneath you, the warmth of fire before you, the scent of flowers and incense floating in the air. Your heart begins to match the rhythm of the chant, even though the chant has ended. Steady, slow, endless. The priestesses light new incense, their smoke curling upward like soft ribbons. They wave fans of palm leaves, sending the fragrance across the courtyard. They move as if part of a single breath, a single dream, their presence as calm as the river itself. One priestess steps to the pool. In her hand is a lotus flower, pure and white. She places it gently on the surface of the water. The flower drifts slowly, its petals glowing against the dark pool, as though lit from within. The lotus is sacred to the Nile. It closes at night and sinks beneath the water. With the sun, it rises again, opening fresh and new. It is the flower of rebirth, the promise of dawn after darkness, the quiet whisper that life always returns. The priestess watches as it floats. The water ripples softly, carrying the flower across the surface, like a dream moving through sleep. You may feel yourself as that lotus now, drifting calmly upon still waters, unhurried, unbroken. Carried by gentle currents you do not need to guide. The world holds you. The river carries you. The night blesses you with silence. Your petals remain closed, resting, safe in the dark, waiting for light. And when dawn comes, you will rise again, refreshed, renewed, open to the sun. The ritual continues. The priestesses lay down garlands of flowers before the altar. They anoint the statues with oils that glisten in the light. They sing again, softly now, a lullaby to the goddess, a lullaby to the world. Their song does not stir the air, it settles it. It falls like a blanket, wrapping the temple in peace. Their voices rise, then fade, like waves lapping at the shore. Their words echo through stone, through water, through time itself. Outside, the Nile flows on. Its surface reflects the stars, endless and calm. The river is the lifeblood of the land, as Isis is the lifeblood of the spirit. Where it flows, fields are green. Where it rests, life blossoms. It is her gift, her song, her eternal touch. And so the daughters of the Nile serve both river and goddess. Their hands heal, their chants comfort, their presence soothes. They are not warriors, yet they hold great strength. They are not rulers, yet they sustain kingdoms. Their power is quiet, but it endures. The night grows deeper now. The stars lean closer, their light shimmering on the slow current of the Nile. The torches burn lower, the chants fall to silence, and the priestesses sit in stillness, their bodies like statues, their spirits like rivers flowing beneath the surface. You sit with them, breathing slowly, resting easily, your thoughts drifting like lotus petals on dark water. Now the temple sleeps. The goddess remains. The flame of incense curls upward, thinner and thinner, until it vanishes into night. The pool reflects the last glow of stars before dawn. And the lotus continues to drift, unhurried, upon the water's calm face. Let your own heart drift with it. Let each breath carry you deeper into stillness. There is no need to hold, no need to reach, no need to rise. For now is the time to rest. Let us drift onward. Now rest as the stars return to their hidden sky. Now close your eyes as the daughters of the Nile keep their watch. The goddess is near, and her river flows quietly through your dreams. Night folds itself over the mountains of Greece. The sky is deep and quiet, scattered with pale stars. The air is cool and still, yet within the valley of Delphi there is a sense of waiting. A silence that is not empty, but filled with breath, with presence, with the unseen. Stone pathways wind upward toward the temple. Olive trees bend in the night air, their silver leaves whispering softly as if sharing secrets. Torches glow along the steps, their flames steady, their light golden against the dark marble. The mountain itself seems alive, breathing slowly, as though the earth holds within it a spirit of wisdom. You drift closer to the temple of Apollo. The columns rise high and proud, white stone touched by moonlight, casting long shadows across the sacred ground. The air smells faintly of pine and sweet resin from the burning of incense. Above, the constellations shimmer, and among them rides the chariot of Apollo, imagined in stars, guiding, watching, listening. Inside, the temple is hushed. The marble floor is cool beneath bare feet. The walls carry faint echoes, as though every chant, every prayer still lingers. And at the heart of this holy place waits the oracle, the Pythia, seated upon her sacred tripod. She is calm, wrapped in flowing robes of white. Her hair falls loose, touched with gold from the torchlight. In her hand rests a simple branch of laurel, leaves trembling lightly with each breath of air. Before her, a bronze bowl filled with water reflects the glow of fire, its surface rippling with every exhale. The ground beneath her is not silent. From the earth rises a gentle vapor, faint and unseen at first, then curling upward like soft smoke. It carries with it a fragrance, sweet and strange, a breath of the mountain itself. The oracle inhales slowly, deeply, her chest rising, her face serene. Her breathing grows steady, each inhale like a tide rolling in, each exhale like a tide rolling out. Her eyes soften, lids half closed, as if looking inward into the endless chamber of the soul. Those who come to Delphi do not rush. They wait in silence. Kings, travelers, wanderers all sit together, each heart filled with hope or worry. Yet here, in the presence of the oracle, all is hushed. The stillness is sacred. The air itself seems to listen. The oracle begins to speak. Her voice is quiet, flowing as though carried by the wind. Her words do not come quickly. They rise slowly, shaped by rhythm rather than haste. They are not commands, but whispers, fragments of truth, like leaves drifting on a river. She speaks of paths not yet walked. She speaks of choices, of journeys, of tides that will turn. Her words are gentle, neither sharp nor certain, but soft as clouds, guiding rather than binding. To one, her voice is like a lullaby of courage. To another, it is a mirror of hidden fears. And yet always her tone is calm, like water smoothing stone, like night quieting the restless mind. Those who listen bow their heads. Some weep softly. Some smile faintly as though their hearts have been understood. None leave unchanged, for even silence itself here speaks. The oracle's gift is not only in words, it is in presence. It is in the way her breath joins the breath of the earth. It is in the way her stillness becomes a doorway through which others find peace. Apollo, the god of light and prophecy, is said to move through her voice. Yet his fire is not harsh here. It is gentle, warm as dawn rising over the mountains. The oracle's breath carries his song like a flute playing across still air. You may see yourself sitting in this temple now, knees drawn close, head resting in quiet wonder. The torches flicker, their light soft on stone. The air is cool, fragrant with laurel and resin. The oracle breathes, slow and deep, her rhythm becoming your rhythm. Inhale, exhale, like the tides, like the winds that sweep across the mountain slopes, like the stars themselves, glowing, fading, returning again. You close your eyes and hear the whispers, not words only for kings, but for every wandering soul. Words that remind you that the path unfolds, step by step, with patience, that what is lost may be found, and what is hidden will one day rise into light. The Pythia rests again, her voice falling silent. The vapors drift upward still, curling softly, dissolving into air. The watchers bow their heads, not with urgency, but with gratitude. For the oracle does not claim to control fate. She reminds them that life itself is a mystery, a river with many bends. The temple grows quiet once more. The stars outside glimmer, steady as ever. And the mountain sighs, as though content. You drift now with that sigh, your breath joining the oracle's breath. The world feels slow, safe, endless. The night carries you as though you too are a whisper upon its wind. The marble floor cool beneath you, the torches soft around you, the sound of silence steady within you. Your thoughts drift like laurel leaves set upon water. One by one they float away, unhurried, carried by the stream. The oracle breathes once more, her chest rising, her shoulders falling, and with her you too breathe, each breath a gift, a rhythm, a gentle thread binding you to earth, to sky, to spirit. Inhale, as though drawing the light of Apollo. Exhale, as though releasing all weight into the waiting night. Slowly, gently, her presence fades, though her blessing remains. Not in words remembered, but in peace carried. Not in prophecy alone, but in the calm that follows. Now the temple rests, the torches burn lower. The mountain breathes quietly, and the oracle's breath lingers soft as mist, gentle as moonlight. Let yourself drift with it. Let your breath follow hers, slow, steady, safe. There is no need for answers now, only stillness, only rest. Let us drift onward. Now rest as the stars return to their hidden sky. Now close your eyes as the oracle's breath carries you gently into sleep. Night folds itself across the mountains of Greece. The ridges glow faintly under the silver wash of moonlight. A cool breeze drifts through the valley of Delphi, carrying with it the scent of pine, resin, and stone warmed by the day and cooled by the stars. The world seems to hold its breath, waiting. The temple of Apollo rises above the slope, its marble columns pale against the darkness. Torches burn gently at its steps, their flame steady, their glow golden, spilling long shadows across the polished stone. Somewhere deep within, a silence hums, not empty, but alive, as though the mountain itself listens. You drift closer. The pathway is smooth beneath your feet, scattered with fallen olive leaves that rustle as the night air moves. Each step feels slower, lighter, until you are carried more by the hush of the place than by your own will. It is a sacred silence, soft, watchful, endless. Within the temple, shadows bow to the firelight. The walls are high, echoing the whispers of countless prayers once spoken here. The floor is cool marble, veined like a river frozen in time. At the heart of this place sits the oracle, the Pythia, chosen to breathe the words of Apollo. She is seated upon a tripod, carved of bronze, its legs resting on the sacred earth. Her robe is white, flowing like still water. Her hair falls around her face, loose, kissed by the shimmer of torchlight. In her hand she holds a branch of laurel, leaves trembling slightly as though alive in her palm. Before her burns a low fire, fragrant with resin. Beside it, a bowl of water reflects the flames, rippling softly, as though stirred by unseen hands. And rising from the cracks in the earth, a vapor curls upward, thin, pale, almost invisible, like the mountain's secret breath. The oracle breathes deeply. Her chest rises and falls, slow and steady. The vapor fills her lungs, her spirit, her mind. Her eyes soften, lids half closed, her gaze turning inward, as though looking into an endless cavern of light. Her breath becomes the rhythm of the temple. Inhale as the flame leans toward her. Exhale as the flame sways away. Her stillness is not silence, but presence. It fills the air like the soft pulse of a hidden drum. Those who come to Delphi wait nearby. Kings, wanderers, shepherds, mothers, and seekers. All sit in reverence, their hopes and fears quieted by the hush of the temple. The moment stretches like twilight, slow and golden. Then, the oracle speaks. Her voice is soft, carried like wind brushing through laurel leaves. It does not rush. Each word rises like mist, drifts like cloud, falls like rain. She does not command. She does not argue. She whispers fragments of truth, visions wrapped in breath. Her words are like water flowing over stone, shaping without force, moving without haste. To one she speaks of journeys across the sea, sails filled with gentle winds. To another she speaks of patience, like seeds sleeping beneath earth, until spring calls them forth. To another still she speaks of rivers, of paths that divide and meet again, of time that bends but never breaks. Her voice soothes even when her visions are unclear, for they carry not only prophecy but calm, the calm of being seen, of being touched by something beyond words. The people listen with bowed heads. Some weep softly, their shoulders trembling like branches in rain. Others smile faintly, their lips touched with peace. All feel lighter, as though their burdens, for a moment, dissolve into the sacred air. The oracle's gift is not only in what she says, it is in the breath she shares. Her breathing becomes their breathing. Her stillness becomes their stillness. The mountain speaks through her, not with thunder, but with silence that heals. Apollo, the god of light, hovers in the unseen. His presence is gentle here, not the blaze of the midday sun, but the warmth of dawn spilling over the hills. Through the oracle's breath, his radiance flows, not as fire, but as golden haze, soft as morning mist. The temple glows with this unseen light. The torches flicker, their flames leaning inward as though listening. The marble shimmers faintly, touched by an otherworldly hand. Even the air feels alive, each inhale filled with a sweetness impossible to name. You imagine yourself seated among the seekers, your knees bent, your hands resting loosely upon them. The marble beneath you is cool, grounding. The air around you is gentle, wrapping you in quiet. The oracle breathes, and you breathe with her. Her rhythm becomes your rhythm. Each inhale like drawing water from a hidden spring. Each exhale like releasing weight into the mountain's arms. Her words drift to you, light as feathers. You are guided. You are seen. The path is not darkness, but unfolding light. They do not demand belief. They simply rest in you, soft as a lullaby. Time passes without measure. The oracle speaks. Then she falls into silence. The silence itself is a prophecy. It tells of rest, of trust, of the unseen weaving quietly through every life. At last, her words fade into the night. The vapors curl upward still, dissolving into air. The fire burns lower, its embers glowing like stars fallen into a bowl. Those who gathered rise slowly, heads bowed in gratitude, voices hushed in prayer. The temple breathes once more. The mountain exhales. The stars glimmer above, steady and eternal. Now you drift with them. Your breath joins the oracle's breath. Slow, calm, infinite. The night carries you, not with urgency, but with care, like a mother carrying a child. The marble cool beneath you. The torches dim around you. The silence holds you. Your thoughts float like laurel leaves on water, turning gently, carried by the stream. One by one they drift away until the river is clear, still and open. The oracle breathes once more. Her chest rises, falls, and with her you breathe. Each inhale draws you closer to peace. Each exhale carries you deeper into rest. The vapors fade. The voices fade. Only the rhythm remains. The rhythm of breath. The rhythm of stillness. The rhythm of the earth itself. Now the temple quiets. The mountain sleeps. The stars keep watch, and the oracle's breath lingers in the air, soft as mist, tender as moonlight. Let yourself drift with it. Let her breath carry you, gentle as a stream through valleys, gentle as clouds across the sky. There is no need for questions now. Only stillness. Only rest. Let us drift onward. Now rest as the stars return to their hidden sky. Now close your eyes as the oracle's breath carries you deeper into sleep. Beneath the great stretch of desert sky, where stars shine like scattered lamps of eternity, the land rests in silence. The dunes, shaped by gentle winds, lie in soft curves like the folds of a sleeping robe. The air is dry, carrying the faint breath of sand, the perfume of myrrh, and the memory of firelight long gone. In this vast stillness, the desert becomes a cradle, and within its embrace live the mothers of old, the goddesses and priestesses who guided tribes through the harsh beauty of Arabia. Listen closely, for the desert has a voice. It whispers in the low hum of wind, in the shifting of grains, in the beating of a drum carried across time. Each sound carries the footsteps of those who once walked here, guided by faith, water, and the sacred memory of their mothers. In the heart of this land, where oases bloom like green jewels, stories were told around flickering fires. They spoke of women who were more than mortal, figures of devotion and power, vessels of divine presence. Some called upon Al-Lat, whose name meant the lady, mother of kindness and provider of plenty. To her, the desert tribes prayed for fertility of land, of herds, of wombs. She was the cool shade, the flowing well, the hand that comforted. Her temple stood in stone, but her truest temple was the open sky. Under her care a child grew strong, a tribe found water, and caravans crossed safely between cities of sand. Her image was carved in white stone, smooth and shining, as if moonlight itself had chosen to take form. Travelers bowed at her shrines, leaving offerings of milk and incense. They whispered their hopes, and in return, they felt her listening, as though the vastness of the desert had ears. Alongside her name rose another, El-Uzza, the mighty one. She was strength, the flash of lightning across dry mountains, the protector of tribes. Warriors spoke her name before they raised their spears. But mothers also called her when sickness touched their children, for her strength was both fierce and gentle. To her belonged the acacia trees, dark and thorned, yet alive with resilience. Her sacred groves stood like small forests amid the sand, and their priestesses tended fires, singing in low voices so that the night might carry their chants into the unseen. And then there was Manat, the keeper of fate. She sat by the river of destiny, counting what was given and what would be taken away. She was the silence of endings, the balance of beginnings. Pilgrims traveled far to honor her, for she was the one who measured the thread of each life. To her they offered hair and blood, tokens of surrender to the mystery of time. Her presence was not feared but respected, like the vast horizon where earth and sky meet in endless stillness. These three, Lady of Kindness, Mother of Strength, Keeper of Fate, were called the Mothers of the Desert. Their priestesses tended their altars, women wrapped in robes of linen and wool, voices soft as running water. They sang to the tribes, not with command, but with prayer. They blessed water before it was poured into the thirsty sand. They touched foreheads with fragrant oil. They guided caravans to wells hidden by shifting dunes. At night, when fires glowed and the stars shone above, the priestesses told stories. Their words moved slow, like a caravan at twilight, every pause a breath, every silence a resting place. They spoke of the desert itself as a living being, a body of sand and stone. Its heart was the well, its breath was the wind, its soul was the stars, and the mothers were the spirit within, unseen yet always near, like the pulse beneath the skin. The desert goddesses were not apart from the people. They were mothers, sisters, and daughters in divine form. To sit by their shrines was to sit in the presence of family. A young woman prayed to them when her first child was born. An elder lifted her hands when her journey neared its end. Even the traveler from far lands, weary and lost, felt their blessing in the sudden discovery of water, or in the coolness of night after burning heat. Their rites were simple yet deep. A bowl of milk poured upon the ground. A palm branch laid at the feet of a stone. A song sung at dawn when the first light touched the mountains. Each act carried the weight of love. Each gesture echoed through the desert winds, carried far beyond the reach of sight. In one tale it is said that Al-Lat appeared in a dream to a shepherd. The boy was weary, his flock thin, his lips cracked by thirst. As he slept beneath the open sky, he dreamed of a shining woman, her robe the color of the moon, her eyes gentle as rain. She placed her hand upon his chest and whispered, "Wake, and walk east." When he opened his eyes, he saw in the distance a grove of palms, green against the horizon. There he found a spring, hidden beneath the earth, and his flock drank until they were strong again. From then on, he built a small altar, not of stone, but of memory, for the goddess had answered him in kindness. Another story tells of Al-Uzza. A tribe once faced a storm, the winds wild, tearing at their tents. They feared their camels would scatter, their children lost in the dark. Then the priestess of Al-Uzza rose, her voice steady as she sang into the storm. "Mighty Mother, stand among us." The wind lessened, the tents held, and the storm passed like a shadow fleeing from light. The people believed it was the hand of the goddess, holding the storm back until safety returned. And of Manat it is said that she appeared at the edge of the sea, where the waves touched the shore. There, a woman mourning the death of her son wept. Manat came to her, cloaked in twilight, and placed a shell in her hand. "All things return," she whispered, "as the wave returns to the sea." The woman carried the shell with her always, and though her grief remained, it softened, becoming like the tide, moving in and out, never gone, never overwhelming. These stories traveled with the desert winds, told by mothers to daughters, fathers to sons, elders to children. They were not only tales of gods and goddesses, but reminders of endurance, kindness, and the mystery of life. The mothers of the desert were not distant rulers. They were the quiet presence in the night, the hand that steadied, the breath that comforted. When caravans gathered at night, voices low and fires glowing, priestesses sang the sacred songs of water. They poured a little from their jars into the sand, honoring the mothers. The desert drank, and the people believed the mothers drank too. In return, wells did not dry, herds did not fail, and children grew strong. To listen to those songs was to hear the heartbeat of the desert itself, slow, steady, endless, like the breathing of one who sleeps. Even now, if you walk into the vast silence of sand, you may feel them, not in stone or shrine, but in the rhythm of wind, in the curve of dune, in the silver of moonlight on sand. They are present in memory, in story, in the quiet strength of mothers who guide, who nourish, who endure. And so the desert is not empty. It is full of voices, of prayers, of sacred presence. Every grain of sand carries a story. Every star above is a lamp lit by ancient hands. Every breath of wind is the oracle's whisper, reminding you that you are never truly alone. Now let the desert cradle you. Let the sand become soft beneath your spirit, the stars a blanket overhead. Feel the gentle breath of the mothers, cool as night air, warm as firelight. They walk beside you, not with footsteps, but with presence. They guide you not with command, but with care. Rest now, as the desert rests. Drink from its silence as from a sacred well. Drift onward as the stars return to their endless watch. Sleep as the mothers of the desert sing softly over you, their lullabies carried forever on the wind. Night has settled softly over the old lands of the Celts. The air is cool, touched by the sweetness of damp earth and leaves. Moonlight filters through tall oaks, their branches stretching upward like vast green cathedrals. Each leaf trembles gently in the breeze, carrying whispers as though the forest itself is speaking. Beneath this canopy, shadows move like flowing water, and silence rests, alive with waiting. Here in the stillness, the sacred groves come alive. These are not forests of timber and stone, but temples of breath and root. No walls confine them. No roof limits them. The stars above are their ceiling, the moss their carpet, the wind their incense. And in these groves, divine women once gathered, their voices soft as streams, their presence honored by all who entered. They were priestesses, keepers of memory, guides of spirit. To some, they were known as druids in white robes, to others, simply as mothers of the grove. Their role was not to rule with command, but to lead with song, with prayer, with the rhythms of nature. They moved gently, like the turning of the seasons, like the growth of oak from acorn. The Celts believed that the forest was alive, that every tree carried wisdom, every bird bore a message, every river held memory. The priestesses listened. They placed their hands upon the bark of ancient oaks and felt the pulse beneath, a slow heartbeat echoing through centuries. They heard the voices of ancestors in the cry of owls, the laughter of spirits in the rustle of leaves, and so their rituals were not mere acts. They were conversations with the world. On nights when the moon was full, they gathered beneath her light. Their white robes glowed pale against the darkness, their hair crowned with oak leaves and mistletoe. In a circle they stood, hands joined, voices rising together. Their chants were simple, yet deep, carrying on the wind like threads of silver. They sang to the moon as mother, as guide, as witness of time. She waxed and waned, yet always returned, reminding all of the endless cycle of birth, death, and renewal. They honored her not with fear, but with tenderness. As she watched over the tides of ocean and blood, she was the mirror of all cycles, the keeper of balance. As their voices rose, the forest seemed to answer. Owls hooted in rhythm. The wind swirled softly. The trees swayed and shadows danced as though listening. In those moments, the grove became a living temple, and all who stood within it felt the nearness of the divine. The priestesses spoke often of oak and mistletoe, plants of power and spirit. The oak was strength, steadfast and tall, its roots deep in the dark, its branches reaching the stars. To touch an oak was to touch endurance itself, and mistletoe, growing high among its limbs, was mystery. A plant that did not root in soil, yet lived suspended, as though carried by the air. Together they symbolized the marriage of earth and sky, the union of what is rooted and what is free. At midwinter, when the days were shortest, they cut the mistletoe with golden sickles, catching it in white cloth so it would not fall to the ground. They lifted it high, blessing it with chants, believing it held healing, protection, and life. People came from villages to receive its gift, carrying sprigs to hang above doors, to guard homes, to bless children. Water, too, was sacred. Springs and wells dotted the land, their surfaces glimmering beneath the moon. The priestesses would walk to them barefoot, vessels in hand, their robes brushing the grass wet with dew. They whispered prayers as they dipped the water, believing that beneath every spring lived a spirit, a guardian of the source. Offerings of flowers, coins, and woven ribbons were left at the wells, tokens of gratitude for life's most precious gift. To drink such water was not only to quench thirst, but to take in the blessings of the unseen. Mothers gave it to newborns. Elders sipped it before their final rest. Travelers carried it across miles, trusting it to shield them. The priestesses blessed it with their hands, tracing slow circles upon its surface, watching ripples move outward like quiet songs. Stories flowed as freely as the rivers. Around the fires at night, people spoke of divine women who were more than mortal. Some said they were the daughters of the moon, sent to guard the cycles of earth. Others called them queens of the other world, walking between seen and unseen. They guided warriors, healed the sick, and comforted those who mourned. One tale spoke of a woman cloaked in green who appeared at the edge of a battlefield. She touched the brows of fallen soldiers, closing their eyes with care, whispering to their spirits as they drifted into the other world. Her voice was gentle, yet strong enough to carry them across the threshold. To the living she appeared as mist, moving between trees. To the dead she was a guide, a mother waiting to take their hands. Another story told of a maiden who sang to the moon each night, her voice so pure that wolves gathered around her, not to harm, but to listen. They lay at her feet, eyes glimmering in the dark, their breaths steady, lulled by the sound. She was said to be a priestess who had learned the language of beasts, gifted by the forest mothers. Her song reminded all who heard it that nature was family, and no creature stood apart. The rituals of the priestesses were woven into every season. At spring, they blessed the fields, sprinkling water upon seeds, chanting for growth. At summer, they lit great fires, circling them with song, asking for protection and joy. At autumn, they honored the ancestors, placing food at thresholds, inviting spirits to share in the feast. And at winter, they whispered to the darkness, trusting in the return of light. In every season, their voices guided. Their chants were slow and measured, like breathing. Their silence, just as sacred, wrapped the people in stillness. To sit near them was to feel a great calm, as if the forest itself had leaned close to listen. The forest voices still linger. If you stand among old oaks, you may hear them, not as words but as feelings. A hush that settles around you, a sense of being held, the sound of leaves in wind, soft and unhurried, like chanting across centuries. Even now, the moon rises as she did for them, patient and watchful. She moves through her cycles, pulling the tides, guiding the seeds, touching the hearts of those who look upward. And the forest still honors her, its branches reaching like prayers, its shadows swaying like dancers in her light. Rest now in their grove. Let the oak shelter you. Let the mistletoe guard you. Let the spring water refresh your spirit. The voices of the priestesses echo softly, not in command, but in care, like lullabies carried by wind through leaves. Feel the ground beneath you, steady and cool. Feel the air above, wide and endless. Between them, you rest, as the priestesses once stood, balanced, quiet, embraced by the living world. Now drift, as the moon drifts through clouds. Now rest as the forest rests, hushed and eternal. The voices sing still, low and gentle, guiding you toward peace. Let us drift onward, into the calm beyond the trees, where sleep comes as softly as falling leaves. The night folds itself gently over the island of Crete. The Aegean Sea rests like liquid silver beneath the moon, its waves sighing as they touch the rocky shore. Cypress trees stand tall in the stillness, their dark shapes reaching into the sky like slender watchmen. A warm breeze moves across the hills, carrying the scent of thyme, honey, and distant salt. All is hushed, yet alive with quiet wonder. In this stillness, lanterns flicker within the courtyards of Knossos. Shadows dance upon painted walls, where images of dolphins, lilies, and spirals glow faintly in the light. The spiral, the eternal turning of life, decorates vessels, pillars, and robes. Here, beneath moon and firelight, women gather to honor the mysteries of renewal. In their hands, they hold serpents. The serpent was no creature of fear to the Minoans. It was a teacher, a guide, a symbol of cycles that never end. Shedding its skin, the serpent revealed the power of transformation, the promise that endings are not final, but doorways into new beginnings. To hold such a creature was to cradle mystery itself, to embody the rhythm of life, death, and return. The women who bore serpents were not warriors nor queens in the way kings were told of. They were priestesses, guardians of sacred rites, keepers of hidden wisdom. Their robes were rich in color, flowing like the sea, their waists bound tightly with belts, their chests uncovered as signs of life-giving power. They lifted serpents with steady hands, their faces serene, their eyes deep as still waters. They were called snake priestesses, embodiments of the goddess. And the goddess in Crete was not distant. She was near, dwelling in stone, in tree, in mountain, and in the winding coil of every serpent. At the heart of their rituals lay the goddess of renewal, known to some as Potnia, the Lady. She was the mother of earth, the giver of grain, the womb of all creatures. Yet she was also the one who received them back when their time was done, guiding them into shadow before sending them once more into light. She was life and death, both tender and fierce, a circle that never broke. The serpents in the priestess's hands were living prayers. Their slow movements mirrored rivers winding through valleys. Their flickering tongues were sparks of hidden speech, whispers from the depths of the unseen. When the priestesses danced with them, holding them aloft, the people believed they saw the lady herself in motion, renewing the earth, renewing the soul. The rituals often began at twilight. Torches lit the paths, casting long shadows across stone steps that descended into courtyards. There, altars of clay and stone were adorned with offerings, bowls of milk, honey, and grain. Flowers, fresh and fragrant, were woven into garlands and placed around sacred horns, symbols of strength and fertility. The people gathered in reverent silence, watching as the priestesses entered. Their steps were slow, measured, in rhythm with the beating of drums. Snakes coiled gently in their hands, their bodies alive with subtle movement. The women lifted them high, their voices rising in song, soft, flowing chants that carried into the night. The chant was not a command. It was a weaving, a gentle joining of human and divine. The words, ancient and melodic, blended with the rustling of leaves, the crackle of torches, the hum of night insects. In that harmony, the world itself seemed to breathe in unison. The dance that followed was a prayer in motion. The priestesses spun, their skirts flaring in arcs of color, their arms steady as they held the serpents close. The snakes moved with them, gliding along their arms, their necks, their hair. To the watchers, it was as if goddess and woman had merged, serpent and soul entwined in one endless rhythm. The dance told of planting and harvest, of birth and passing, of the sea's waves that rise and fall, only to return again. It was a story older than words, older than walls and palaces. The serpent's winding form was the thread of that story, reminding all who saw it that nothing truly ends, that all returns in time. In the quiet after the dance, the priestesses poured libations. Honey and wine dripped onto the earth, seeping into the soil like offerings to the womb of the world. Hands traced spirals upon clay, circles upon stone, calling forth the cycles that sustained life. Those who came seeking healing knelt beside them. A woman in pain, a child weakened by fever, an elder nearing the threshold of death. The priestess placed her serpent upon their shoulders, its cool body pressing close. She whispered prayers, calling the lady's breath into the suffering flesh. Some said the serpent's touch carried away illness. Others said it gave courage to face whatever path lay ahead. All felt comfort, for in the serpent's presence, they remembered they were never alone in their passage. Stories of the serpent's wisdom passed from mouth to mouth, as sacred as the rites themselves. One tale told of a great serpent that coiled around the roots of the world tree, guarding the deep waters of life. Each time the tree shed its leaves, the serpent guided their return to the soil, feeding the roots, beginning the cycle anew. Without the serpent, life would wither. With it, the world was always renewed. Another story spoke of a serpent who shed its skin by the riverbank. A woman watched and learned, seeing in that act the promise that she too could cast away sorrow, fear, or loss. From that day forward, she carried a serpent in her arms, not as a burden, but as a reminder that transformation was always within reach. These stories were not meant to frighten, but to soothe. They were woven with the rhythms of nature, teaching that all things move in circles, day into night, seed into stalk, birth into rest, and always return. The palace of Knossos itself was filled with spirals, painted dolphins, and flowing forms that echoed the serpent's motion. No sharp edges, no harsh lines. Everything curved, everything turned. Even the labyrinth with its winding paths was a symbol of journey, of entering, of losing oneself, and of finding renewal again. Within its turns, the serpent's wisdom lived. To walk the labyrinth was to walk life itself. To hold the serpent was to embrace the mystery. To trust the circle was to rest in the arms of the goddess. Tonight the sea continues its song. The moon reflects in its waters, a silver coin cast upon the surface. Beneath, unseen currents swirl, like serpents winding through the deep. The island breathes, and the forests, the stones, the groves, and the people dream together. The priestesses' voices still linger, soft as wind through cypress. Their serpents, long gone, remain in memory, in symbol, in the winding forms carved into pottery and painted on walls. And their message remains as gentle as ever. All things change, all things return, nothing is lost. Rest now within their circle. Imagine the serpent coiled softly around you, not in fear, but in protection, in renewal. Feel its coolness, its steady rhythm, reminding you that every breath is a cycle, every night followed by dawn, every ending a hidden beginning. Let the spiral guide you. Let the chant soothe you. Let the goddess hold you as the priestesses once did, tender and unhurried. Now drift as the serpent drifts across stone. Now rest as the earth rests in the quiet of night. The cycle carries you onward. The circle closes gently, only to open again. Let us drift onward into the silence, where the serpent's wisdom coils around your dreams, guiding you deeper into peace. The night lies calm across the great plains of Africa. The sky is endless, stretching from horizon to horizon, painted with stars that glimmer like small fires in the distance. A gentle wind drifts through tall grass, carrying the scent of earth after rain. Drums beat softly, far away, their rhythm like a steady heartbeat under the heavens. A village rests within this vastness. Huts of clay and straw glow faintly under the moon, their walls kissed by shadows of trees. Inside, families settle near embers that burn low, their warmth fading into the cool breath of midnight. Yet in one house a fire still burns bright. Women gather, their voices low, their hands steady, their presence filled with quiet strength. For this night is sacred. A new life prepares to enter the world. Across Africa, midwives were honored as more than caretakers. They were bridges between the unseen and the seen. They carried the prayers of ancestors on their lips. They carried the breath of mothers in their hands. To call them was to call upon the divine itself, for through them the gateway of birth was guarded with reverence and blessing. Each midwife carried within her the wisdom of countless generations. Her knowledge was not written in books, but in songs, in chants, in stories whispered by grandmothers beside the fire. She knew the herbs of healing, the rhythms of breath, the mysteries of water and blood. She knew the songs that calmed the child within the womb and the prayers that called the spirit gently into flesh. The air inside the birthing house was heavy with smoke from burning leaves. Fragrance rose like prayer, circling toward the roof, rising into night. Candles flickered, their flames bending as if bowing. The women swayed together, humming soft melodies, their voices weaving a cradle for the soul that was near. The midwife's hands glowed in the firelight. Her palms rested upon the mother's shoulders, steady and firm. Her touch spoke without words. "You are safe. You are strong. You are not alone." She whispered blessings, calling upon the mothers who came before, upon the spirits of the land, upon the river of life that flows through all. The child stirred, waiting, listening. The world beyond the womb was not silent, but already singing. The heartbeat of the drums, the hum of women, the prayer of ancestors moving through the air. In many lands, midwives were believed to walk with spirits. Some said they carried an invisible staff, guiding the soul as it crossed from one realm into another. Others said their breath was sacred, for it carried the power to call life forward. The midwife's chant was a river. Her words flowed softly, low and steady. Each syllable was like water smoothing stone. Each pause was like night falling over fields. Her song was not meant to rush the child, but to open the way gently, with tenderness and care. She called the child by names not yet known, names of light and strength. She welcomed the spirit, assuring it that the world was ready, that arms were waiting, that love would be its first companion. At times the work was long. Hours passed like slow-moving clouds. The mother swayed, rested, rose, and swayed again. The midwife stayed near, never leaving, her voice steady, her hands sure. She placed herbs in the air, sprinkled water upon the ground, marking the circle of safety. No shadow could enter, no fear could remain. Within that space, only blessing was allowed to dwell. Those who gathered knew they were not alone. Though only a few women stood inside, an unseen crowd stood with them. The ancestors filled the room, silent but strong, their presence felt in every breath, in every whisper. Birth was never only the act of one body, but the joining of many, past, present, and future, woven together in one eternal thread. When the moment came, the air shifted. The chants deepened. The torches glowed brighter. The very earth seemed to lean close. The mother's cries rose and fell like waves upon the shore. The midwife's voice wove around them, not silencing, but guiding. And then, the cry of a newborn, clear and strong, cut through the night. The women's voices lifted in song, soft but joyful, like rain falling after drought. The midwife caught the child in her hands, steady and warm. She raised it toward the firelight, whispering words older than memory. Blessings for breath, blessings for strength, blessings for the journey ahead. The child's body glistened, its tiny hands curling like leaves unfurling in spring. Its eyes opened, gazing at the world for the first time. The midwife smiled, her face calm, her spirit at peace. She had guided yet another soul into the circle of life. In some traditions, the midwife spoke to the newborn before anyone else did. She whispered a secret blessing, telling the child who it was, where it had come from, and where it would one day return. She told the child of rivers, of stars, of ancestors watching with joy. She told the child it was loved beyond measure. These words, it was said, sank deep into the soul, never forgotten, even if the ears did not yet understand. The mother received her child with trembling arms. Tears shone in her eyes, not only from pain, but from wonder. The women around her sang low and sweet, their harmonies wrapping both mother and child in comfort. The midwife sat beside them, her hands resting in her lap, her work done, her spirit quiet. Outside, the village stirred. Neighbors felt the change in the air, the arrival of new breath. Some lifted their eyes to the stars and whispered thanks. Others set aside a portion of food for offering, placing it near the threshold, a gift for the spirits who had blessed the birth. The sacred midwives were remembered in stories. Children grew and spoke of them with reverence, saying they held the keys to the gate of life. Without them, souls could not enter gently. With them, every birth was a ceremony, every first breath a song. They were honored not for power, but for service. They did not rule, but they guarded. They did not seek fame, but they carried the most precious of tasks. Their strength was quiet, their courage soft, their wisdom deep. To speak of them was to speak of patience, of love, of the eternal river of life that flows through every generation. Tonight, as stars shimmer across the African sky, their memory remains. One can almost hear their voices in the rustling of grass, in the hum of insects, in the rhythm of distant drums. Their blessings float upon the air, soft as night wind, warm as firelight. If you close your eyes, you may feel their presence beside you, their gentle hands, their soothing songs, their unbroken trust in the circle of life. You are held in that circle too. Your breath joins the rhythm of countless others. Your life flows as theirs once did, as the child's did, as all will continue to do. Rest now in the company of the sacred midwives. Rest in the knowledge that you are part of an endless story. Every breath you take is a blessing. Every moment is a thread in the great weaving of existence. Let the hum of their chants guide you into stillness. Let the warmth of their firelight soften your thoughts. Let the ancestors watch over you, steady and kind. Now drift as the plains drift under starlight. Now rest as the child rests in the arms of its mother. Now dream as the sacred midwives whisper blessings into your sleep. The night continues. The stars remain. The circle holds. Let us drift onward into deeper silence, where all things are safe and all things are renewed. Night has fallen upon the ancient land of India. The sky is alive with stars, scattered like jewels across a vast velvet cloth. The moon rises slow and silver, its light pouring softly over temple stones. The air is warm, carrying the fragrance of jasmine blossoms. Somewhere a flute plays in the distance, its song drifting like a gentle stream. Within the temple courtyard, lamps flicker. Their flames bow and sway in the night air, casting golden halos upon carved walls. The pillars are tall, covered with stories etched in stone, gods, goddesses, rivers, and birds frozen in sacred dance. The temple does not sleep, for within its heart a ceremony has begun. The Devadesis step forward. Their feet are bare upon the cool stone floor, toes painted with red dye, ankles crowned with tiny bells. The bells ring softly like raindrops falling on metal bowls. Their garments flow like rivers, silk dyed in deep colors of the earth. Saffron, emerald, indigo. Their eyes are dark, shining with the light of oil lamps, and their hands move with grace, telling stories without words. They are not dancers for men, nor dancers for the market square. They are temple dancers, devoted only to the divine. Their bodies are poetry, each movement a verse, each gesture a prayer. The Devadasi does not merely move. She becomes the river, the flame, the bird in flight. Her dance is not for entertainment, but for offering. The drums begin, slow at first, like the heartbeat of the earth, then steady, calling the body to awaken, calling the spirit to rise. The flute answers, winding its song like smoke through the air. Together, drum and flute weave a net of sound, delicate and strong, holding the space in rhythm. The Devadesis begin their dance. One lifts her hand, her fingers blooming like a lotus opening at dawn. Another bends her body, arching like the curve of the moon. Their steps are precise yet flowing, like water finding its way through stone. Every motion is ancient, carried through generations, learned not from books but from breath, from memory, from repetition, under the gaze of gods. In the dance, the universe is told. There is creation, as hands spread wide, as feet strike the earth, as bodies whirl like stars being born. There is preservation, as movements circle slow, steady as the turning of seasons. And there is destruction, fierce yet graceful, a reminder that endings are only doors to beginnings. Each gesture holds meaning. A raised hand may call upon blessing. A tilted head may speak of longing. Eyes widened may tell of gods descending, while a smile hints at divine play. The Devadasis are storytellers of silence, weaving entire worlds through the motion of their limbs. As they dance, the temple awakens. The carved figures on the walls seem to stir in the flickering light. The gods, seated in stone, appear to lean forward, watching their own stories unfold through human bodies. The air grows heavy with incense, thick with devotion, as if the very walls breathe with the rhythm of the dance. For those who watch, there is no need to understand each symbol. The dance is not of the mind, but of the spirit. It enters through the eyes, through the ears, through the beating heart. It settles like rain into soil, nourishing something deep and wordless within. The Devadasis were known as servants of the divine. Their lives were bound to the temple not through chains but through devotion. They were seen as bridges, standing between human and God. Their bodies became the language of prayer, their movements a form of worship as sacred as chant or flame. To watch them was to be reminded of the cycles of life. That birth flows into growth, that love flows into loss, that joy flows into silence, and that silence too becomes song again. The dance was eternity made visible. The night deepens. The stars shine brighter, and the moon climbs higher, silvering the temple stones. The Devadasis move in unison, their bells ringing like soft rain, their garments swirling like rivers in moonlight. Their breaths rise and fall with the rhythm of the drum. Their eyes gaze far beyond the walls. They are not here only in body. They are vessels for the gods to enter. When the dancer raises her arms, it is not only her hands that move, it is the river goddess flowing. When her feet strike the ground, it is not only stone that feels it, it is the heartbeat of Shiva, echoing through creation. The watchers feel it too. They close their eyes, swaying softly, carried into the rhythm, forgetting the boundary between self and divine. In the temple courtyards of old, dance was not separate from prayer. It was prayer. Each spin was an offering, each breath a sacrifice, each gaze a window to the eternal. The Devadasis were midwives of the spirit, delivering the soul into presence, helping it remember its place in the great circle. They did not seek applause, for the gods were their only audience. They did not seek fame, for their joy was in surrender. To give one's body as poetry was the highest act of love. The dance slows now. The drums soften, the flute quiets. The movements become gentler, like the last ripples of a river before it enters the sea. The hands fold into prayer, the head bows low. The bells grow still, the garments rest. A silence spreads, vast and kind. It fills the courtyard, stretching to the trees, to the stars, to the sleeping earth. It is not an empty silence, but one full of presence, like the hush before dawn, like the breath after a long sigh. The gods are at rest. The dancers are at rest. The watchers are at rest. Far above, the stars continue their dance. They too move in rhythm, circling, gliding, never-ending. The Devadasis mirror them, human stars moving upon the earth, bound by the same eternal law of turning. And as the night grows deeper, as the lamps burn low, the spirit of the dance lingers. It settles into the stones. It settles into the trees. It settles into the heart of all who have seen. Now close your eyes, as if the dance were still before you. See the hands unfolding like flowers. Hear the bells chiming like rain. Feel the rhythm, steady as breath, steady as the heartbeat of the earth. Let it guide you. Let it soften you. Let it carry you like a river into sleep. Rest as the Devadasis rest when the dance is done. Rest as the gods rest when the offerings are complete. Rest as the earth itself rests beneath the moon. The bells grow silent. The lamps fade low. The courtyard empties. Only the stars remain, watching, glowing, eternal. Now drift as the dancers drift into stillness. Now dream as the gods dream in their stone temples. Now sleep as the night cradles all things. The temple grows quiet. The body grows quiet. The heart grows quiet. Let us drift onward into the silence beyond sound. Let us rest as the stars return to their ancient watch. The night drapes itself gently over the Andes. Snow still clings to the high peaks, shining faintly in the silver light of the moon. The air is thin, yet clear, carrying the quiet song of the mountains. Each stone, each path, each breath seems filled with memory. Here, where the earth touches the sky, the ancients believed that voices of prayer rose straight to the heart of the heavens. High upon these sacred ridges, the chosen women of the Inca tended their quiet tasks. They were called by names soft and reverent: keepers of cloth, keepers of shrines, keepers of silence. Their steps were light, their hands gentle, their breath steady. They were not warriors, nor rulers, yet their presence carried weight, for they were the ones who wove devotion into the fabric of the empire. By the glow of a small fire, a woman sat with her loom. The wool in her hands was warm from the sun, dyed with colors drawn from earth and plant. Each thread held meaning: red for life, black for time, yellow for the sun, blue for the wide sky. Her fingers moved with patience, each pattern not only art but prayer. To weave was to speak with the gods without words. The cloth itself became an offering, a bridge between human and divine. Another woman tended to the shrine stones, brushing away the snow that gathered in corners. She placed coca leaves with care, whispering softly into the night. Her prayer was not rushed, not loud. It was like the wind, a quiet presence that touched all things. She believed that her breath carried hope into the vastness, carried gratitude into the listening mountains. The Inca saw these women as vessels of stillness. They did not lead armies, yet they steadied hearts. They did not rule with voice, yet they gave voice to the mountains themselves. Their work was sacred, though simple. It was the tending of flame, the keeping of cloth, the slow rhythm of daily ritual. Imagine the air at such heights. It is thin, yet it feels clean. Every breath is light, like drinking from the stars. At dawn, the first glow of the sun spreads across the white peaks. It feels as if the mountains themselves are breathing with you. The chosen women rise with this breath, moving gently, as if not to disturb the silence. Sometimes they would gather together to sing, not with loud drums, not with sharp voices, but with tones that rose and fell like a slow river. Their songs spoke of Pachamama, the Earth Mother. They sang of Inti, the shining sun. They sang of mountains as fathers, rivers as messengers, stars as keepers of memory. To hear such singing in the thin air was like hearing the very sky hum in harmony. At night, when the stars grew countless, they would lift their eyes upward. The Milky Way spread itself across the blackness, vast and bright. To them, it was not just stars. It was a great river in the heavens. They believed that souls traveled along its shining path. Every light above was a reminder of those who had gone before, still near, still watching. Their prayers floated upward to join that river, never lost, always flowing. One woman standing at the edge of a stone terrace closed her eyes. The wind brushed against her skin, cool and steady. She let it carry her words away. She did not ask for anything grand, only for balance, only for harmony between earth, sky, and spirit. In her stillness, the mountains seemed to lean closer, listening. Another tended the sacred fire. She added small twigs, careful not to let it fade. To them, fire was more than warmth. It was a messenger, a tongue of the gods. The smoke rose upward in soft curls, carrying prayers skyward. She watched the flame flicker, steady, alive. It whispered back to her in silence, reminding her that life itself is a small fire, precious and fleeting. The chosen women were not only keepers of shrines. They also prepared chicha, sacred drink, to offer in rituals. They gathered water from pure streams, ground maize with patient rhythm. Each motion was carried out with intention. For them, even the smallest act could be a prayer. To grind grain was to honor Pachamama's gift. To pour water was to remember the rivers of the earth. To lift a cup was to salute the sky. Sometimes they carried woven cloths to great ceremonies in Cusco. There, the emperor would stand among golden walls, his head crowned with rays of the sun. The cloths, woven with quiet care, were laid before him, not only for him, but for the gods he embodied. Though the empire stretched far, the hands of these women tied it together, thread by thread. The Andes themselves seemed to teach them patience. Mountains do not rush, rivers do not hurry. Snow falls, melts, returns again. The women mirrored this rhythm. Their lives were not loud, but steady, echoing the eternal pace of stone and sky. Imagine yourself there, at dusk. The horizon glows red, fading into violet, fading into deep indigo. A chill creeps through the thin air, but it is gentle, not harsh. You wrap a woven shawl around your shoulders, its threads warm, its patterns alive. The stars begin to appear one by one until the sky is filled. You feel small, yet held, as if the universe itself has opened its hands to cradle you. The voices of the Andes were not only human. They believed the mountains spoke. They believed rivers sang. They believed birds carried secrets from one peak to another. To live among these voices was to always be listening, and the chosen women listened most of all. Their listening became prayer. Their silence became offering. Their breath became bridge. Every cloth they wove, every fire they tended, every song they sang was part of this listening. And through them, the Andes themselves seemed to whisper back. Now, as the night deepens, picture the final moment of stillness. The women retreat to their quiet dwellings. The looms rest, the fires dim, the songs fade into the hush of mountain wind. The peaks stand watch, silver in moonlight. The river in the sky flows above, endless, carrying memory onward. You lie back into this silence, feeling its weight, its safety. Your breath joins the thin air, soft and steady. It drifts upward like smoke, like song, like prayer. And you know that even in quiet, the universe is listening. So rest now, as the mountains stand tall, as the stars return, as the voices of the Andes fade into dreams. Let the night carry you, gentle as woven cloth, steady as the sacred flame. Let us drift onward, deeper into sleep. The desert stretches wide beneath a moonlit sky. The sand glimmers softly, silver dust carried by a wind that moves without hurry. The Nile flows nearby, dark and endless, its surface rippling with the reflection of countless stars. Temples rest in stillness, their walls carved with ancient stories. And among them, in the quiet of ritual and shadow, there were women who carried the heaviest, yet most sacred of tasks. They were the mourners, the keepers of the dead. Their voices were not ordinary voices. They were bridges between worlds. Their cries rose into the night like birds lifting from the riverbanks, wings trembling, disappearing into the dark. Each wail, each lament, was believed to open a path for the spirit of the departed. Tears fell, not as weakness, but as offering. Salty drops returned to the earth, to the Nile, to the gods themselves. Imagine a courtyard of stone, where torches flicker and cast long shadows. The air is heavy with incense, sweet and bitter at once. In the center lies the still form of the departed, wrapped in linen, kissed by oils, prepared for the long journey ahead. Around this body women gather. Their hair is loosened, their robes flowing. Their eyes are wet with tears, but their grief is more than personal, it is divine. They lift their voices together, low at first, like a hum carried on the wind, then rising, trembling, calling into the unseen. It is not a song of despair, it is a song of guidance. Their cries are torches, lighting a road the dead must walk. Their tears are rivers, carrying the soul gently toward its resting place. In ancient Egypt, mourning was not silence. It was sound, deep, aching, eternal. To cry for the dead was to honor them. To wail was to remind the universe that a spirit was on its way. These women were chosen to embody the divine mourners, Isis and Nephthys, sisters who once wept for Osiris. When their voices rose, it was as though the goddesses themselves were present, kneeling by the body, cradling the soul. The story was always remembered. Osiris, ruler of the afterlife, once slain, dismembered, hidden in the dark earth. Isis and Nephthys searched, gathered, mourned. Their cries stirred the winds. Their tears soaked the land. Their voices shook the heavens. Through their devotion, Osiris was made whole again, rising to rule the underworld. And so, every mourning woman became a vessel of those goddesses, reenacting their eternal grief, their eternal love. The sound of ritual lament is unlike any other sound. It is both sorrow and strength, both wound and healing. It carries beyond walls, beyond villages, out across the desert plain. Some said the spirits followed the sound, drawn like birds to a call. Some said the gods leaned close, listening, comforted by the devotion of mortals. But all believed the dead could not walk alone. They needed voices to guide them, voices to remind the living and the unseen alike that they were cherished, remembered, never abandoned. Picture the mourners in the first light of dawn. The sky is pale blue, the sun not yet risen. Their bodies are weary, yet they stand with poise. Their tears glisten, their voices hoarse yet steady. They move in slow rhythm, swaying as though the river's current has entered their bones. They become both anchor and sail, keeping the memory of the dead rooted, yet helping the spirit drift onward. Every gesture holds meaning. Hands lifted to the sky are offerings to Ra, the sun. Hands pressed to the earth are offerings to Geb, the ground that holds all life. The beating of their breasts, the dust upon their hair, these are not chaos but ritual. Through them, grief becomes sacred order. Through them, death becomes passage, not ending. The air fills with scent, resin, myrrh, frankincense. The body of the departed is wrapped again and again, linen laid in careful layers. Each fold is a whisper, each knot a prayer. The mourners chant as the wrappings continue. Their voices fall and rise like the Nile's endless flood. The soul is being readied, the heart weighed, the spirit carried, the tears of the mourners fall upon the linen. It is said that such tears, born of love and ritual, became protective charms. The dead did not leave alone. They left carried on waves of sound, of water, of memory. For the people of Egypt, life and death were not separate. They were mirrors, each reflecting the other. The living prepared for death as carefully as they prepared for the harvest. And the mourners reminded all who listened that death was not silence. It was a journey filled with song. Imagine standing by the Nile at twilight, hearing their cries echo across the water. The river shimmers beneath the last light of the sun. Palm trees stand tall, their fronds whispering in the wind. In that moment, grief does not frighten. It feels vast, eternal, part of the rhythm of all things. The mourners, in their devotion, were not only guides for the dead, they were teachers for the living. Their tears showed that sorrow could be holy. Their voices showed that pain could be turned into prayer. Their presence reminded every soul that love does not end at death. It flows onward, like the Nile, like the stars across the sky. And so, their task was never small. They carried both the weight of human sorrow and the beauty of divine remembrance. They stood between worlds, steady and soft, fragile yet strong. They became living bridges, bridges woven of sound, of breath, of tears. Now the night deepens once more. The desert cools, the torches fade. The mourners rest, their voices quiet, their tears drying upon their cheeks. The soul of the departed has gone, guided gently into the afterlife, welcomed by ancestors, embraced by the gods. Only silence remains, but it is not empty. It is filled with presence, filled with memory. The silence feels like linen folded around the body, safe and still. You breathe into this silence, slow, peaceful. The voices of the mourners linger in the air like echoes of wind through temple columns. They remind you that every soul is carried, every loss is honored, every tear is a thread in the great cloth of eternity. So rest now, as the desert grows quiet, as the Nile glides on, as the stars shimmer above the tombs. Let your breath join the night air. Let your body sink into stillness. Let the keepers of the dead guide you too, not into sorrow, but into deep and healing sleep.
Let us drift onward, into the river of dreams. Word count. Sakuantwan 603, the night stretches long over the northern lands.
The air is crisp, cool, and scented with pine. Snow rests lightly upon branches, glowing pale under the watch of the moon. The earth feels quiet yet alive as though listening. Fires flicker in distant halls, their smoke curling upward into the star-filled sky. And in this hushed world, the seeresses move, wrapped in heavy cloaks of fur, their steps soft across the frozen ground. They are the silent ones, the women of sight, those who listen not only to the wind, but to the threads of fate that weave through all living things. In their stillness they carry great power. Their presence is calm, yet filled with mystery, like the dark waters of a deep lake. Imagine a circle of stones resting upon a hill. Torches burn low, their flames bending with the wind. Within the circle stands a woman, her cloak drawn close, her hair falling in long strands across her shoulders. Her staff is carved with runes, markings of an older tongue, signs that speak of destiny, of journeys not yet taken. She does not shout. She does not move with haste. Her silence carries more weight than any storm. She lifts her gaze to the sky, where the northern lights shimmer in soft ribbons of green and silver. Her eyes follow them, reading the sky as one might read a page, each flicker a symbol, each glow a story. The villagers gather near, but not too close. They know the seeress does not belong entirely to them. She stands with one foot in their world and one foot beyond, among the spirits, among the unseen threads that stretch from star to star. The Norse called this power Cedar. the weaving of fate. It was not a simple craft. It was listening to the hidden patterns that shaped the lives of mortals and gods alike. The seeress was both watcher and weaver, both guide and vessel. Her body was rooted to the earth, but her spirit drifted into realms where time bent and stories intertwined. Her silence was not emptiness. It was a deep listening, a listening so vast it held the whispers of ancestors, the rustle of leaves, the creak of ice as rivers froze. Through her quiet, she heard what others could not. The people feared her, yet they honored her. They approached with gifts, bread, cloth, carved bone, or offerings of mead. They asked their questions in hushed voices. Would the sea be kind this season? Would the harvest be full? Would the child in the womb draw breath and grow strong? Would the warriors return home? The seeress would close her eyes, her breath slow, her hands resting gently upon her staff. She would wait until silence itself began to speak. Sometimes her answer came in words, low and measured, sometimes only in gestures, her hand pointing to the horizon, or to the stars, or to the fire. She was not always clear. Fate was not always clear. Threads crossed and tangled, paths split like rivers through stone. Yet her presence gave peace, for in her stillness, people felt the vastness of the web they belonged to. They remembered that their lives were part of something greater, something unbroken. There are stories of great seeresses who traveled from village to village, their arrival marked by quiet awe. They carried staffs tipped with bronze, adorned with feathers, beads, or bones. They sat upon high seats, covered with cloaks of fur, as maidens sang around them. Their trances were deep, their visions long. Through them, the threads of the Norns, the weavers of fate, could be glimpsed. The Norns themselves were said to sit by the roots of Yggdrasil, the great tree that holds the worlds. They carved runes into wood and stone, whispering destinies that even the gods could not escape. The seeresses, in their silence, mirrored these eternal weavers. Every word, every pause was thought to echo the voices of the Norns. Picture the seeress on a winter night. The wind howls across the fjord, carrying flakes of snow like drifting ash. She sits by a small fire, the flames snapping softly. Her eyes remain fixed upon the darkness, where shapes move just beyond sight. Her lips part not in song but in breath. Her silence speaks of patience, of trust in the unseen. The people watch her. They do not disturb her, for they know she is listening to what lies beyond the edge of hearing. They feel comfort in her quiet. They know she carries their fears into her stillness and returns with a peace they cannot reach on their own. The silence of the seeress is like snow, soft, covering all things, yet carrying its own sound. When snow falls, the world seems quieter, though nothing has been removed. Every sound is softened, hushed, gentled. So it is with her presence. She does not banish fear, but softens it. She does not erase sorrow, but makes it bearable. Her silence becomes a blanket laid across restless hearts. And beneath that blanket, the villagers sleep easier. They know the threads of fate may twist, yet they are always held by the Norns, by the tree of life, by the unseen hands that guide all paths. The seeress reminds them they are never truly lost. Sometimes in her visions, she saw shadows, wars that had not yet begun, storms that had not yet broken, even the fall of kings and the fading of gods. But she carried these visions with grace. She spoke them softly, if at all, for she knew that fate is not always to be avoided, but embraced. Even endings belong to the great weaving. Other times she saw light, a harvest filled with gold, a birth that brought laughter to a house, a voyage across seas that ended in safe return. She carried these too with equal calm, for joy and sorrow were threads of the same cloth. As the night deepens, the fire burns low. The stars above seem brighter, endless in their number. The seeress lifts her hand, pointing toward them. She does not speak, but all understand. The stars are reminders that lives, like constellations, are stories connected across vast space, that no soul shines alone, that every light belongs to a greater pattern. The villagers lower their heads, feeling the truth in their bones. The cold air brushes their cheeks, yet their hearts are warm. They know they are part of something endless, something woven long before their birth, something that will continue long after their passing. And when the villagers return to their homes, the seeress remains by the fire, her eyes half closed, her breath slow. Snow drifts across her cloak, settling like feathers upon her shoulders. The silence deepens, yet it does not feel empty. It feels alive, full of whispers, full of threads unseen. In her stillness, the world feels whole. In her silence, the night feels safe, and in her quiet presence, destiny itself feels like a lullaby. So let us drift with her now. Let the cold air soften around you, like a blanket of snow. Let the silence of the seeress surround your thoughts. Let her calm weave into your breath, steady and slow. The stars shimmer above the northern lands. The threads of fate glisten, unbroken, eternal. Rest now as the seeress closes her eyes. Rest as the Norns whisper through the roots of the world. Rest as the snow falls gently upon the earth. Let us drift onward, carried by silence, into the dream of the woven night. The night begins at the edge of the sea. The tide sighs against the shore, steady as a heartbeat. Moonlight rests on the surface of the water, silver ripples moving like silk in the wind. The sand is cool and soft beneath bare feet. Palm leaves whisper above, their voices blending with the call of waves. The Pacific stretches outward, wide and endless. It carries with it stories older than memory. It carries songs sung by priestesses, chants rising from firelit shores. They called to the ocean as one calls to a mother, with reverence, with love, with trust. For the sea was both cradle and teacher, both giver and taker, both fierce and endlessly gentle. On a quiet beach, torches flicker. Women stand in a circle, their cloaks of woven bark swaying in the breeze. They move slowly, their steps following the rhythm of the tide. Their voices rise low and soft, a chant meant not for human ears alone. They sing to the waters, calling upon the ocean mothers, those who hold the waves in their embrace. Each note is like a ripple spreading across still water. Each pause is like the hush of the sea between waves. Their voices weave together, flowing like currents, binding the earth to the ocean, the people to the unseen. The villagers gather beyond the circle, sitting in silence, listening. They know these chants are offerings, gifts to the deities of the sea. They know the ocean mothers hear them, even when the night is silent, even when no sound rises at all. The ocean mothers are many. They wear the faces of different islands, different shores, yet they are one in spirit. They are the goddesses of tides and foam, of storm and calm. In Hawaii, she is Kanaloa's companion, keeper of deep mysteries. In Samoa, she is Sina, radiant and gentle, who gave her hair to become the coral of the sea. In Maori tradition, she is Tangaroa's consort, mother of fish and shell, the womb from which all life first swam. Though the names change, the heart remains the same. The sea is mother. She cradles. She nourishes. She teaches. The priestesses knew this truth. Their chants were lullabies to the waves. They did not command the sea. They invited her, honored her, welcomed her as one welcomes a mother back home. Imagine the circle of priestesses now. Their hands rise, palms open to the sky. Their eyes close, listening. They sway gently like tall grasses in the wind. Their voices call, not loudly, but with a softness that carries through the air. The tide answers. The waves grow fuller, rolling in with a deeper sound. Not harsh, not violent, but steady, as though the ocean leans closer to listen. The foam gathers at the edges of the beach, touching the toes of the singers, then retreating, only to return again. The villagers see this and feel the bond. The sea is alive, not distant, not foreign. She is kin. She is mother. Her touch upon the shore is her embrace. Her tides are her breath. For many island peoples, the sea was the first teacher. She taught patience, for the tides come and go in their own time. She taught courage, for her depths are vast and cannot be tamed. She taught trust, for those who set sail must place their lives in her care. And above all, she taught giving, for she fed the people with fish, with shells, with salt. The priestesses reminded the people of this wisdom. They did not shout lessons. They sang them. They let the ocean carry the meaning, as the waves carry driftwood to the shore. Picture the horizon now. The line where sky and sea meet is softened by mist. Clouds drift, glowing pale beneath the moon. The stars are bright, scattered like seashells across the heavens. Their light seems to echo the flicker of waves below. The priestesses sing of the stars, too. For the stars are the ocean's mirrors. They guide the sailors across open water. They are like pearls strung upon the black thread of night. Each one a reminder that no journey is truly lost, no traveler truly alone. The villagers listen. They feel the bond between sky and sea, between land and water, between themselves and the mothers who hold them. Their hearts quiet. Their fears drift away, carried out upon the tide. The ocean mothers were not only givers of life, they were also guardians of balance. When storms rose, when waves grew tall, the people remembered. They remembered to honor the sea, to respect her power. For even a mother must sometimes teach through sternness. The storms were lessons, reminders to live in harmony, not in greed, to take only what is needed, to walk with care upon the shore. The priestesses did not fear the storms. They lifted their chants even higher when thunder rolled. They offered shells, flowers, woven mats, and bowls of sweet water. They whispered to the ocean mothers, asking for calm, asking for safe passage. And when the storms passed, when the sea returned to peace, gratitude filled every heart. The chant continues. Low, steady, like the hum of the tide. The torches flicker lower, their flames small against the vast night. The circle of priestesses sways as one body, their voices woven together like strands of seaweed. The villagers close their eyes, breathing with the rhythm of the waves. The sound of the ocean becomes the only sound. It is not only heard, but felt. In the chest, in the breath, in the slow beating of the heart. The sea cradles them as surely as a mother cradles a child. Long ago, the elders taught that every person carries the sea within them, the salt of the blood, the rhythm of the breath, the pull and release of the heart. We are made in her image, they said. We are tides in human form, always ebbing, always flowing, always returning home. The priestesses kept this truth alive. Their silence, their chants, their gentle movements all reminded the people of their kinship with the sea. And as they stood on the shore, they became bridges. Bridges between land and water, between people and ocean, between child and mother. Now the night grows deeper. The waves grow slower, their edges softer. The chants fall to whispers like the last breath before sleep. The torches burn low, their smoke drifting upward to join the stars. The villagers begin to rest where they sit, some lying upon mats, some leaning against driftwood. The sound of the sea lulls them. The presence of the priestesses holds them. And in their dreams, the ocean mothers rise. They appear as women of water, their hair flowing like seaweed, their voices as gentle as shells pressed to the ear. They sing lullabies of tides and moonlight. They cradle every soul in arms of foam and salt. They remind all who sleep that they are never alone, never forgotten, always embraced. So let yourself drift now, as the villagers drift. Let the ocean's breath move through you, slow and steady. Let the chants of the priestesses echo softly in your heart. Let the presence of the ocean mothers soothe you, like a lullaby sung across the waves. The stars shine above the endless sea. The tide rises and falls, patient, eternal. The night is gentle. The sea is mother, and you are her child, safe in her embrace. Now rest as the ocean mothers cradle the shore. Rest as the waves carry your dreams across the silver tide. Rest as the stars return, guiding you deeper into sleep. Night falls gently over ancient lands. The air is cool, touched with the faint scent of earth and smoke. A crescent moon lingers low in the sky, its curve like a secret smile. Beyond the reach of the marketplace, beyond the noise of the day, the world grows hushed. It is here in the stillness of shadowed paths and quiet valleys that a sisterhood gathers. They come without torches. They come without fanfare. Their steps are soft like the rustling of leaves in the wind. Each woman carries within her a silence, a vow, and a flame unseen by eyes of the crowd. The flame is memory. The flame is devotion. The flame is the bond they share deeper than words. The night welcomes them. The stars scatter above like scattered seeds, each one shining with promise. The earth itself seems to listen, as though it knows that something sacred is stirring. In many lands and many ages, such gatherings lived in secrecy. They were mystery cults, woven of whispers and prayers, hidden beneath the surface of society. Their rites were not shouted in open temples, nor carved into public stone. They flowed like rivers beneath the soil, unseen but strong, carrying life to those who drank from them. Some gathered for Demeter and Persephone in the Eleusinian mysteries. They walked into caves, into torchlit halls, carrying kernels of grain as offerings of life and renewal. They spoke of descent and return, of the cycle of death and rebirth. Others gathered beneath the veil of the moon, calling upon Artemis, guardian of women, sister of silence and shadow. And in still other places, hidden fires burned for Isis, for Symbolic, for Inanna, names shifting across cultures, but always. The heart was the same. It was a heart of devotion, of mystery, of women standing together in circles unseen. Imagine now such a circle. The ground is smooth with dust, cool beneath bare feet. Around them stand tall trees. their branches weaving overhead into a canopy that shelters the night. A single small lamp burns at the center, its light flickering gold. The women sit in quiet rows, cloaked in shawls, hair braided with herbs and flowers. No voice speaks above another. No command is given. Instead, the circle breathes together, each inhale a wave, each exhale a release. Their silence itself becomes a language, a prayer that does not need words. Then softly, a chant begins. It is not loud, not forceful. It is the hum of bees in summer, the murmur of water beneath stone. The chant flows around the circle, each voice joining as though remembering something long forgotten. It carries no sharp edges, only roundness, softness, like the shape of the moon itself. Their rites were hidden, yet they were never empty. They carried symbols, sacred objects held close, a seed of grain, sign of the earth's eternal womb. A veil, soft and white, covering the face as one passes into mystery. A bowl of clear water, reflecting both starlight and the gaze of the sisters who look within. Each symbol whispered of truths too tender to shout aloud. Life dies, yet life returns. Darkness falls, yet light rises. Loss wounds, yet healing comes. And through all of it, the bond of women remains, carrying strength quietly like roots beneath the soil. Some called these rites dangerous. Men in power spoke with suspicion, for they could not see what happened within. But those who entered the circle knew otherwise. They knew the gatherings were not for defiance, but for remembrance. They remembered the earth itself as mother. They remembered the seasons turning and returning. They remembered the soul's journey, which does not end at the grave but flows onward, like a river to the sea. The sisterhoods became keepers of memory. They carried the songs that could not be sung in the marketplace. They carried the stories that were not carved into stone. They carried the healing that could not be found in public shrines. All of this they guarded, not through swords or walls, but through silence, through presence, through trust. Picture the circle again. The chant has grown softer now, fading into the hush of the night. One woman rises, her shadow long in the lamplight. She lifts a bowl of water, holding it so the stars are caught within it. The circle looks upon the reflection. The stars tremble with each ripple, as if reminding them that heaven itself rests upon fragile waters. Another woman places a seed into the bowl. It floats small and unassuming, yet filled with life. It is a promise that from darkness, from silence, from hiddenness, something new will always grow. The circle bows their heads. The lamp flickers lower, smoke curling upward like a veil. The rite is simple, yet it holds the weight of eternity. Such sisterhoods were rivers running deep. They carried the voices of countless women through time, each gathering a drop, each ritual a stream, together forming an ocean of devotion unseen by the world. When crops were planted, their prayers flowed into the soil. When children were born, their chants wove around the cries of new life. When death came, their lament softened the passage, carrying souls as gently as a mother carries a child. Even in secrecy, their power was felt. It was the power of water, soft yet unyielding, wearing away stone, feeding the roots of trees, sustaining all that lives. Now, the night deepens. The circle prepares to part. No farewell is spoken, for words are not needed. Each woman knows the bond does not break with distance. It runs beneath the surface like the quiet river it has always been. The lamp is covered, its flame extinguished. The smoke lingers, then fades. One by one, the women step into the shadows, their footsteps dissolving into silence. The forest closes around them, holding the memory of their gathering in its branches, in its soil, in its stars. The hidden sisterhood remains, though unseen. It remains in the hush of the night. It remains in the turning of the seasons. It remains in the quiet strength carried by women across time. Let yourself rest within that circle now. Feel the safety of voices joined in chant. Feel the warmth of the hidden flame. Feel the presence of those unseen, who gather still in silence. The sisterhood is river, and you are carried in its flow. It is lamp, and you rest within its glow. It is seed, and you are sheltered within its promise. Now drift as the circle dissolves into night. Drift as the stars return to the bowl of the sky. Drift as the hidden river carries you onward, deep into gentle sleep. Our journey closes by weaving all these divine women together across time and place as a circle of voices guiding the soul into peace. Approx. Word count. 1600. The night is wide and open. like a sea of velvet sky. The stars glow gently, like scattered embers of memory. In this stillness, you return, drifting back into the dream of story. The air feels soft, like a lullaby whispered by the earth itself. The world slows, the spirit quiets, and the circle begins to form. In the distance, a circle of women gathers. Their shapes shimmer like candle flames in the dark. They come from many ages, many lands, many forgotten prayers. Yet together they join hands, creating one endless chain. The circle has no beginning and it has no end. It turns like the moon, like the seasons, like the breath of night. One voice rises calm and low. It is the voice of Isis, the mother of Egypt. She speaks of healing, of bringing together what has been broken. Her words drift like the Nile, carrying the listener toward peace. Her hands are wings, folding the weary into her embrace. Her song is one of patience, of endless return. Next, the circle glows with the fire of Hestia, the keeper of the hearth. She does not speak loudly. Her flame is small, steady, unshaken. She teaches that warmth is found in stillness, that home is a circle made not of walls, but of hearts. She lays her quiet fire in the center of the gathering, a beacon that never fades. The light shifts, and Inanna enters the circle. Her crown glimmers like starlight woven into gold. She brings the memory of descent, the journey down into shadow, and the return to the world above. Her story is one of death and rebirth, of the courage to fall and the grace to rise again. In her presence, even the darkness feels gentle, like soil cradling the seed. Beside her, Kuan Yin appears, robed in white as soft as moonlight over water. Her eyes are deep and endless, holding compassion that cannot be measured. She carries a vase of sweet water, pouring it gently into the circle, a river that flows through every spirit. Her voice is silence itself, teaching that kindness is the greatest prayer. From the forests of the north comes Freya, her cloak made of feathers, her steps like the wind. She speaks of love and longing, of beauty and the strength hidden in tenderness. She reminds the circle that every heart is sacred, and every tear is a jewel. She teaches that to love is to honor the soul. The circle continues to widen. More voices drift in, the names perhaps forgotten, yet their presence still felt. Goddesses of rivers, of mountains, of fire and of grain. Unknown priestesses who sang beneath the stars. Mothers whose names were never written down, yet whose love carried whole peoples forward. Each woman brings a gift. One offers water, another offers flame, another offers a song of the night birds, another lays down flowers of every color. Together they weave these gifts into the circle until it shines like a crown of earth and sky. You drift closer and you see the circle is not outside of you. It is within you. The women do not stand apart, but live as voices in your spirit. They speak through the memory of your breath, through the rhythm of your heart. Their circle is the eternal circle of life, of endings and beginnings, of rest and awakening, of silence and song. The stars above seem to join them, forming their own circle in the heavens. The moon bows her silver head. The wind hushes, as if listening to this gathering of eternal sisters. Time itself slows. There's no past, no future, only this gentle turning of the circle, only the harmony of voices that blend into a single, endless song. It is a song without words, yet it says everything. It says you are safe. It says you are whole. It says you belong. You feel the rhythm of the circle beneath you, like the earth breathing softly. It carries you gently, like a cradle of night. The hands of the women reach for you, not to pull, not to press, but to hold you in calmness. They rock the spirit like a tide, steady, soothing, eternal. And slowly the circle begins to fade. Not because it ends, but because it has moved inside of you. It becomes your breath, your heartbeat, your dreams. It will remain, turning softly, long after the stars dim. The women bow their heads. The fire at the center glows once more, then dissolves into starlight. The water returns to the river. The flowers drift back into the soil. All gifts are given, and all gifts remain. The night is still. The circle has become the silence. The silence has become peace, and peace has become your rest. Now close the story in stillness. The eternal circle continues, but you may drift into its rhythm. Let the stars carry you. Let the voices cradle you. Let the night surround you. The circle is whole. The spirit is calm. The story is complete. Now rest as the stars return. Now rest in the eternal circle.